On today's episode of the Glue Guys, we will dive deep into that mailbag and answer all your pertinent playoff questions. Net Sixers first round playoff basketball.
Let's get right into the show. Let's get in there, Mike. Let's get in. Let's go. Let's get into the show.
Welcome back to the Glue Guys. This is Mike here. Say hello, Brian.
Hello.
Check us out on Twitter at BKGlueGuys, StatsDaily.com, The Athletic, get yourself on the TheAthletic.com/GlueGuys, subsidiary of the New York Times. Right.
Michael, it's playoff time. Let's get into it. No, don't.
The Nets are back.
He's a menace on the soundboard. Mike, it's been too long. We're excited to see each other. We haven't potted in much too long.
I know.
There's just something interesting going on with the team. Like, let's call it what it is. Like, you're just like, do we pod now? And then no.
The most interesting thing is that the Cam Thomas game with the last game of the season when the Nets played Cam Thomas and he got another 40-point performance.
Huge.
In a loss. And Jock Vaughn absolutely buried him after the game and said, can you do that when we're actually winning games? Essentially.
Jacques really doesn't pull any punches in
I
these
love
interviews.
It.
Yeah.
I absolutely love it.
Part of the brand.
I'm on Team Jock. Let's do this. This is an official Mailbag podcast brought to you by
Hyundai. We got the Hyundai.
Get your cars at a Hyundai.
Get your Hyundais here. Let's go. First up.
Let's dive right into it. First up,
that's Cheer Boy Javier Pagan. Wonder if the volume's enough, but I also turned. Anyway, we'll figure it out. Javier, thanks for writing, says, what would be considered a realistic, successful playoffs for this Brooklyn Nets team? Realistic plus successful, Mike. We got the realism and the successful. Are these? Can those two things coexist?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, we can. Winning 2 games against the 76ers would be a success.
Okay.
A 6-game series. A 6-game series where, to remember last year, the Nets got swept.
Yeah.
And it would be nice to say the Nets actually win a playoff game.
I mean, we only need the one, really, for that
Yes.
storyline to be true. I mean, yeah, you're getting greedy, Mike, is what's happening with the second one.
I mean, if they made the 76ers sweat, because again, people don't know this, but I recorded a podcast with Alex Schiffer that will come out on Friday that is very previewy, bro heavy.
Okay.
And if the feeling is like the 76ers are a tough team. They are a monster. They have Joel Embiid and James Harden. They're tough. But if the Nets could just, let's get some dubs. Let's get the good vibes. Let's keep the good vibes rolling.
Yeah.
Getting 2 wins in the playoffs is pretty good vibes.
Yeah. I mean,
that's realistic.
Other
right?
side of it is, and this is true of anybody, but possibly somewhat realistic, is getting just absolutely BTFO'd in every single game and being swept. So that's what we're hoping to not see. And just keeping it close, on a game-to-game basis would be fun. I would like it to be a fun, competitive series in which there's at least the specter of a win that floats around each and every game.
Yeah, I don't want the BTFO. Like, I want it to be close. I want it to feel like playoff basketball, because there's always that series in the first round, a series or two that doesn't feel close, that doesn't feel like playoff basketball. I want this to feel like playoff basketball. I remember back the Jared Dudley-Ben Simmons rivalry of yesteryear, when Ben Simmons played basketball and Jared Dudley played basketball. That was a fun series, even though that it ultimately wasn't very close. Give me some fun. Give me some enjoyment. Give me some glimmers of hope for the future. I will ask you this. If the Nets are down 3 on a series, should they start Cam Thomas and just say, Cam, break a playoff scoring record? It doesn't matter if we're going to win or not. Just unleash the hounds.
Yeah.
Cam Thomas, because I actually don't think he's going to play.
No, I don't think so.
Narrowly at all.
But we can get into that because I've got a perfect question for that, T-Dub. But before we do, I mean, it is fun and also not fun at the same time. That we've often talked about how, we've had a lot of expectations for the team. And in this case, we really have zero expectations. Like, there's just, I think nobody would be surprised by a sweep. I think, a gentleman's sweep is the safe bet. That's 4-1. In a 5-game series, and then if everything cracks out, 6. But also, like, can we make it a real series all the way through? It's just fun to think that like there's no expectations. It also sucks that there's no expectations. Like it is kind of a throwaway series. It's sort of how I feel about it. But there's kind of a paradox in that. Which can we really ever like truly give up hope? I'm sure there's somewhere back in your mind, Mike, where it's like, what if we get sneaky and something crazy happens? We catch lightning in a bottle. Like, what is your lightning in a bottle percentage at?
10%.
10% is pretty high for lightning in a bottle.
Because here's the thing, and this is like again previewy, which is part of the show. The Nets have distinct advantages.
Let me say this actually: just lightning in a bottle is winning the series. That's
yes.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, the Nets have distinct advantages, and one of them is the fact. And Alex Schiffer actually talks about this, so I won't steal his point. I will credit him completely. The Nets have no pressure because the team was slapped together. The 76ers have all the pressure in the series, and if the Nets pick off a win early, it would increase the pressure on the 76ers. The Nets' wing talent is vastly superior.
Mm-hmm.
Nick Claxton is good. Now, he has nothing behind him. Dayron's going to have to play Joel Embiid this series.
Yeah.
That's not a recipe for success. But Nick Claxton is good. Dorian Finney-Smith can converge on top of Joel Embiid, muck it up for him. There are things the Nets can do. The 76ers are bad as a transition defensive team. They are bad with backcourt defense with Maxey and Harden. Spencer Dinwiddie could have a very nice series. Yeah. There are elements to where you could begin to piece the puzzle together. Easy buckets on transition. Dinwiddie not feeling any pressure, being able to operate however he wants to. Bridges being a revenge because the 76ers drafted Mikal Bridges and then traded him away.
Suckers.
Revenge Bridges, a bridge over the river Mikal, if you will.
Nice.
And nice. Just the pressure packed Philly fans. The Philly fans are not above booing their own team in the first round.
Yeah.
So
all right, some 10% lightning in a bottle. We love it. Next up, cheer boy. That's Corey Cantor. I went deep on Corey. Dear Glue Guys, says Corey. Firstly, good to have you back. Great to be back. I've been waiting for your joyous voices to fill my pod feed. Oh, that's sweet. But alas, it has been silent. Hey, okay, we're trying out here. Says I've got one main question, but then some backups, assuming this one will be popular. I'm wondering what you think the playoff rotation will be, who will get the minutes, and will JV tighten it up? Am I really going to have to watch Seth Curry try to light up his father-in-law and get torched on defense? There's some follow-ups, but we can address that one first.
Damn. Question for you, Brian. How would you treat your father-in-law in a playoff series?
My father-in-law.
Father-in-law of mine. Tell me, where have you been?
He's really sweet. I really like him. He built me he built me this computer. So he's like a engineering mind kind of guy. He's very very so
built this computer.
So it'd be very it'd be really lame to just shit on him. So I'd be in a tight spot. A
real tighty. A tighty whitey, as they say. So I think Jacques Vaughn, I was trying to find the quote recently, but he mentioned something about, there's the common idea that in a playoff system, you tighten your rotation. Where Jacques Vaughn, I think made mention of the fact that we're going to have to play some guys who maybe haven't played a ton because of this series. And I think that's a reference to the Joel Embiid factor. The Nets are going to have to foul Embiid, muck it up, make it feel uncomfortable, and Nick Claxton can't be that guy. We had to protect Nick Claxton. Nick Claxton getting 2 early fouls means the game's over.
Yeah,
essentially,
and that's like 1,000% their game plan too. That is like going to be their thing.
Yeah, Embiid, of course, is the hub of their offense, and they know the Nets' biggest weakness is like if Nick Claxton fouls out or is heavy foul trouble, we're going to get 20 minutes of Day'Ron Sharpe. I think to counteract that, the Nets are gonna go small and have Dorian Finney-Smith at the 5,
Well,
and just and be ultra switchable, ultra shooting, having it'll be Spencer Royce, Mikhail Cam, and Dorian Finney-Smith. That's actually still pretty good defensively everywhere else except for center.
Yeah.
As opposed to putting Day'Ron out there a bunch, because Day'Ron is so limited. I mean, love the guy, a sweetheart of a man, but just completely limited. And he's not ready for playoff basketball.
No.
So I think you're gonna see Seth Curry. You're see, because Seth is kind of clutch.
Mm-hmm.
They need flame-throwing 3-point shooting.
Yeah.
You'll see a lot of course, you'll see Joe. You'll see the normal lineup. I think the sneaky thing is who gets more minutes, Day'Ron at the 5, or someone like Dorian Finney-Smith playing 5.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, is it basically
go?
ball denial plus instant double teams, like every time Embiid touches the ball for the first couple games? Is that ostensibly what we're looking at?
Well, what do you think? Do you think?
I mean, yeah, it has to be. There's no way we would just want like Embiid working on the post. And I mean, love Claxton, but that is, if there's one attack vector, it's just going to be like a larger center bullying him. He's getting bigger, but it's just not enough time.
You know who's on the Nets bench? Tiago Splitter. Can we get Tiago a jersey?
Big shout out for Tiago.
Can we get Tiago a quick jersey because like Day'Ron's going to play some minutes, and he's basically just going to be in there to foul and just to be burly and annoying. Yeah. And I love that. Hey, I love a burly, annoying big man.
Yeah.
But that is not a recipe for success. I do think the way you have to counteract the size of Embiid is to put him in situations where like he is running around kind of guarding Dorian Finney-Smith or another 3-point shooter.
Yeah.
Embiid's not going to run around. They're going to constantly switch, and Embiid's going to guard the hoop in the way that Brook Lopez kind of does for the Bucks. But it's still putting him in positions where maybe he's kind of uncomfortable, and maybe you're tiring him out a little bit on defense, as opposed to if he's guarding Nick Claxton, that's pretty easy for Embiid.
Yeah,
frankly.
Can I engage in something that's a little bit dark arts with you?
Please.
Joel Embiid, and I hate to do this because I don't want to, this is dark arts, it's voodoo, but Joel Embiid has had a history of injuries. Dark arts, I know. But let's say that something terrible befalls Joel Embiid over the course of the series. Where does that put your lightning in a bottle odds, in a world in which we're playing an Embiid-less Sixers? Let's just say
40%, 40%,
it really does
50% maybe. Yeah. Because then everything's on Harden, and those are some brittle shoulders that James Harden has. There's already rumors that he wants to go to Houston. He has this Achilles injury where it's, Brian, if you were just say who's the foremost expert on Achilles injuries, who has not had a medical degree and who has not had an Achilles injury, who would that be in the world?
Did you actually ever publish your research, your findings?
Yeah, I think I did one episode about the Achilles injury.
Just a solo show of...
I'm pretty sure it was solo.
Yeah.
Where I played some clips and I really analyzed. The whole point, if people don't remember, I was going to do a 3-part series on Achilles injuries. Where I literally talked to a Greek classics professor about the origin story of Achilles and what the Achilles myth has meant to man over time. It was really high-minded shit.
So crazy.
That, like everything else with the show, I promise, don't deliver. Yes. Harden has an Achilles sprain. And our guy, Dr. Patel, could tell you, that means slight tearing. There's microscopic tearing. An Achilles having any of that tearing, that is the ramp up to potentially an Achilles tear. I don't want that for James Harden, but I'm just saying that is a factor in the series. Playoff basketball is hard. It is stressful. Pressure packed. I woke up last night because my dog was barking incessantly, and my Achilles was hurting, and I was fearful of my own Achilles tearing. Just turns out I'm a little overweight and just didn't stretch very well.
Had me fooled. I don't see it, Mike. I'm not seeing what you're talking about.
Anyways, there's lightning in the bottle. Lightning can be accumulated in a bottle.
Can I further go into the dark arts? So, in a world in which Embiid stays healthy, and Harden succumbs to his Achilles issues or whatever, where does that adjust does that put us at 20% lightning in a bottle?
Wait, Embiid's healthy, but Harden hurts.
Right, we're doing the opposite.
I'm really tabulating.
Yeah,
20% feels
because Embiid is
right.
really it's the crux of the issue is Embiid.
But the thing about so the Sixers are pretty light. You know, they do have some good bench pieces, but you know, like with the Nets, if they had injury, Bridges is the best, basically the only guy who matters. Bridges and Claxton. Where, you know, if let's say Harden's hurt, then who's playing? Is it like DeAnthony Melton is starting or Shake Milton? Milton, I don't know. They get real light real fast because there's the way they are built.
Yeah.
There's that funnel at the top and then it goes whoop, hourglass figure.
Yes.
So yeah, 20%. No, I go 30%. 30%.
Oh, okay. All right.
And do you know how they are now experimenting of how to divert lightning from buildings? You know, traditionally it's a lightning rod.
Yeah.
Right? Now they're experimenting in Europe with shooting lasers into the sky to distract lightning.
Oh, okay.
Which seems terrifying.
Why?
We have global warming,
and
we're going to shoot lasers into the sky. Seems like
space lasers, Mike. I think you might know a thing or two about. Anyways, next up.
Oh my god, that's one of my favorite jokes you've ever done. Yeah. Okay.
Next up, Cheer Boy. We got Jack McCann.
I just love the idea. I have a space laser because I'm Jewish. Like that. If you could have told a 13-year-old Star Wars loving Mike Smeltz that I had a space laser because I wear a kippah, that would have thrilled me to no end.
It's locked in.
And I do.
Jack says, "Hey guys, first time, long time, and I appreciate all the work you do." Thanks, Jack. This kind of dovetails from the previous question, but specifically, my question is about Nick Claxton's matchup with Joel Embiid. We all know that Clax has an incredible defensive season, but bruising and highly skilled centers like Embiid have given him trouble in the post as his body continues to fill out. With that in mind, what does defensive success look like for Claxton in this series? Obviously, Embiid will get his and have his moments, but what do you think is a reasonable expectation that we as fans can have and walk away saying, Clax played him well and did all he could? Thanks and keep potting. Thanks, Jack. I have an answer for this, and it's pretty low-hanging fruit for me, just because it is a pretty insurmountable task here. It's a bit of a tough spot. It's a lot of pressure to put on young Nick, but my barometer for success is Embiid plays very well in clutch minutes. I just hope that we can get to the point where Claxton is in the game long enough to be guarding Embiid in the clutch minutes of the game, of closing games. That's I think what success looks like. I'm not even looking at the stats because they're going to be huge no matter what, and that's immaterial. But just that Claxton didn't get into foul trouble early, and he made it to the end of the game where he could ostensibly guard Embiid. That's very
just surviving.
Yeah, just surviving. Really.
I do think the Nets D is going to be, it'll be Claxton on him primarily, of course. There'll be quick doubles, there'll be delayed doubles, there'll be zone defense. You know, I do think that this team, Jacques has shown an ability to be a little bit more variable in the way that we play as opposed to Steve Nash. Shots at Steve Nash. Mm-hmm. Clax surviving, yes. It not being Mission Impossible music, terrifying, really more Exorcist music, John Carpenter style, fear constantly from the tip that it begins, razor edge. No, we need to be elongated. Sure, Embiid's going to get his, but it feels like, and Claxton has actually done that. There's games this year where Claxton has battled Embiid and it hasn't been horrific. The referees are going to be huge in this series. The Sixers are the team that shoot the most free throw attempts a game. Harden is the king of the free throw attempt. Joel is the best, or one of the best with Jokic, best big men accumulator of fouls and also then making them.
Yeah.
And my whole thing is I wish the Nets had Zaza Pachulia on the bench to do the whole 6 fouls, to stick his foot under Embiid when Embiid jumps in the air.
Yeah.
we could really use Giannis for trying to injure someone, or Thanasis Antetokounmpo.
Ooh, Thanasis would be perfect.
I would be down for the Nets to get Thanasis, even though I hate Thanasis with
awful.
the passion of
But yeah, for just to roll him out and piss people
baby,
off. Yeah.
the biggest Nepo baby in the world.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
The Nepo brother, if you will. The Nepo bro. So
Perfect. Landed it.
Thank you. Finally, after it was a bumpy ride.
You got
that was a flight into
Worth it.
Cleveland.
Worth the
A
ride.
bumpy ride over Lake Erie, but I got there. Just surviving, not even thriving.
Nice.
Just getting there, making it tough. I just need a moment where Joel Embiid does the thing where like he's putting his hands on his knees, he's bending over, he's like really breathing hard.
Yeah.
If we can get that out of him, fantastic. And if you can disrupt some of Embiid, then Nick Claxton's doing his job. And like Claxton's like a top, 5 defensive center in the NBA. But Embiid would do this to anyone. There's no one but like Jokic. Jokic isn't a great defender, but just the size. Brook can obviously do this. Clax is different.
Yeah.
And I appreciate him and I love him.
Yeah. Next up, it's Cheer Boy. We have Ed Carson. It's Ed Carson. Says, hey guys, what do you think Ben Simmons will be wearing on the bench for Game 1? In all seriousness, which of the fringe rotation players, Cam T, Yuta, Edmund, Dayron, do you think will get the most minutes in the series? Who do you think should get the most minutes? Thanks. So I think it's a good question. I think the two vectors of attack, and I think you hit on them well, was the potential for transition offense, which I think Edmund Sumner is maybe a potential attack vector for, and then also just out of necessity, Dayron is probably going to get more minutes than anybody's super comfortable with. I would love to see Yuta, but it's Yuta, unfortunately, with Cam Johnson, you could feel that there's a lot of overlap there in the skill set, and Cam's a young, vibrant man who's apt to get a lot of minutes in the series. So though I do love Yuta, and Cam is, to your point, the sort of weapon you roll out when all else fails, just for the memes. But I don't know. Do you have a different take than that?
Yeah, they're gonna roll Cam Thomas out like Hannibal Lecter. Like he will be in a straitjacket, just staring out, and rolled out there.
Yeah.
It'll be 3-0, and it'll be like just recap, just take 30 shots in a playoff game,
eat someone's face.
So Yuta's interesting. I mean, it's Dayron's the answer. Who's going to get the most minutes, and he also is the guy who should get the most minutes just because of necessity. Yuta's interesting just because we're talking about like who could contribute 6 fouls on Embiid and make it annoying. Yuta could do that for 7 minutes in a game. Not that he would be guarding Embiid, but he can be a guy who, be like, hey Yuta, when you're in the game, the second Embiid touches the ball, you're collapsing down on Embiid. You're making things very annoying for him in that moment,
and he's good at that.
And he can then disappear. And he has activity. Yuta is also a good transition player. So the whole attack point for the Sixers is you need to attack that. You need to get the rebound and then push, because the Sixers aren't going to get back on D because Harden's lazy and Embiid's usually probably right by the post, trying to get the rebound so you can attack them quickly. So Yuta could be there as an element. I know people want to see Cam Thomas. If we're seeing Cam Thomas, he's going to do something spectacular, but something's going wrong in the series.
Yeah. That's a good way to put it.
Jacques Vaughn does not want to play Cam Thomas.
No.
If he doesn't have to.
Yeah. Next up. Quick break. Yeah. Quick
break coming back next up after that. And we're back, Brian.
Oh, next up. Cheer boy. That's Brett Lubansky.
Brett puts his LinkedIn and cell phone number in his email signature. Should we tell people what it is?
Let's not. Let's save Lubansky from that. He says, hello, glue boys. Okay, he's a little broing us a little bit. That's okay. While I know we've got the good vibes going for us, I fully expect the Nets to flash in a lot of these games. but give them up in the end, given our struggles to close. What do you think the Nets can do to improve on our closing offense and avoid it getting stuck in Spencer's hand for the step-back prayer that everyone sees coming and no one fears? Well said. Also, how long do the Luka to the Nets rumors begin? Lastly,
They have begun. They have begun, Brett.
Lastly, thanks for keeping it light this season. Don't know how most of us would have gone through this disaster of an era without your much-needed comic relief. That's sweet, Brett. Thank you very much. So it's a three-parter. Spencer.
And Brett's number is 917.
That's not true. It doesn't even start that way. Two-parter. So what can we do to improve
I love both
our
of these.
closing?
Yeah. A huge problem. This is the biggest problem besides guarding Embiid is that as much as we love Bridges, we love him. The Nets are very much still figuring out how to close games. It's a classic problem when you don't have Kevin Durant on your team.
Yeah.
I, in fact, think Spencer's going to have a very nice series because Harden and Maxey suck at defense.
And Spencer really rises to the occasion for stuff. I mean, the amount of underdog energy going into the series, it can't be overstated.
Very good point.
Which Spencer seems to really thrive off of.
And I think it will look very nicely if Spencer hits a game-winning shot and Kyrie is at home on Twitch, talking about whatever he's going to be talking
the New World
about.
Order. Yeah. Also, Spencer's interesting too because Spencer is a really good end of game. Like he hits game winners, but to Britt's point, there is a little bit of dicey decision making just leading up to that finale, the grand finale. There's something.
I did ask Spencer about the step back specifically.
Yeah.
Because I respect the need to have a step back in your game, but I also would like it to be minimized.
Yeah.
But he's going to hit so I think this will be a very nice series for Spencer. The ball probably will be in his hands. PJ Tucker is going to be on Bridges. How much you are afraid of that? I'm not afraid of it, but it is an annoying thing to see.
Yeah.
The way that PJ Tucker plays.
I actually think it's a good matchup for Bridges, weirdly, for PJ Tucker, just because Bridges is a little bit more off the ball mobile than a lot of the sort of ISO scorers that PJ gets in their faces with. I don't know. I feel like it's just a better, not that it's a bad fit because KD was just shooting over the top of him, but they would get go back and forth and have their moments of frustration with PJ Tucker. I just feel I don't know, having watched PJ last year or two, it feels like his wheels are a little bit. It's a lot of miles on those wheels, and it's a little bit harder to keep up. So, anyways, as far as that goes, I feel like it's a decent matchup.
The positive and you've brought this up a lot with the egalitarian type offense that the Nets now have.
When you say it like that, I feel now I'm embarrassed.
You should be.
Yeah.
That the one benefit to the Nets end of game scenario is Nick Claxton won't be on the floor. Let's say this is crunch time because he's going to get fouled, though his foul shooting each month over the past 3 months, it has improved by 5 to 10%. Mm-hmm. He's up to 62% in terms of per the month, I think, or the past 20 games or something.
Significant. Yeah.
Yeah, it's getting there. But he won't be on the floor. And the good thing that the Nets will have is that they will have a lineup of all 3-point shooting. If you consider Dorian Finney-Smith a 3-point shooter. I have a really nice stat in my pod with Alex Schiffer about how important Dorian Finney-Smith's 3-point shooting is to the Nets team, the current Nets team. You'll have to listen for that on Friday. It's a little tease for you. But the Nets will be able to trot out a closing lineup of all shooters and still have ball handling and still have length and all that stuff besides no real center. And so they will be able to play 5-out offense in the closing minutes. So what I really don't want to see is the Spencer dribbling the ball for 18 seconds and then putting up a shot. What I do want to see is driving, cutting, trying to get people open. And again, they can put out Seth Curry and Joe Harris and Royce O'Neal and Cam Johnson and Mikal Bridges and Dorian Finney-Smith and Spencer Dinwiddie, all shooters. So they have that ability. That will be their superpower in the closing minutes, whether it, translates to dubs. Who knows? Lastly, can we get to the Luka thing real quick? Can I just do it?
Actually, let me. Yeah, I'll just bridge off of that quickly. It's surprised I didn't see and haven't seen in the inbox yet. It might be there, but I haven't reviewed it quite yet. Is the Joe Harris sucks in the playoff memes? That's that's
Those tiki tortures have given up.
This is
a
particularly good playoff series for Joe Harris to put up a lot of shots, and maybe reclaim some of his Joe Harris
trade value.
Yeah,
oh, good.
maybe reclaim a little bit of that narrative. In the interim, just a thought. If Joe, if you're listening, put up your shots this series.
Joe, make them.
Yeah,
like,
but actually make them is the
when
key.
Jock texts each of them a little motivation. He just says to Joe's like, "Hey, dude, just make your shots.
Yeah, make those go in.
Hey, make your shots.
Take the shots, but make sure they go in. Go, Luka. Go ahead.
Quickly. This is larger point than just Luka. Okay, so the Luka connection, for anyone who doesn't know, our boy Igor, who I saw at a food hall getting dumplings with his family.
I still don't believe this is true. I think it's a guy that looked like Igor potentially.
It was 100% Igor.
Okay.
And I was about like 3 people behind him, and he did look at me like he recognized me. I mean, I'm kind of a big deal, so I'm sure he did recognize me.
I'm sure.
Anyways, impressive guy in person. Great head of hair, tan.
Okay.
Nice tennis body.
What's the attributes of a tennis body? Yeah.
It's not a ripply muscle. It's a smooth, sort of muscular body.
So no tone. He's not a toned.
Not toned, but like solid and
strong, but not toned.
Strong, but not toned. Okay. Right.
Nice.
Not those fake muscles. The real athletic body.
So Roger Federer. That's what we're looking at.
Exactly. Okay. Who's a tennis player.
That's one of the. That's a tennis player
body.
Whose name I know, but different.
Novak Djokovic. You should just name tennis players. Yeah. Anyway, so saw him in person. Of course, he coached Luka in Slovenia or whatever. This is a sub thing. I said this on Twitter, and people got mad at me. Rudy Gobert punching his teammate. Add him to the list of guys that Ben Simmons could maybe be traded for. Ben Simmons won't be traded for Luka. Okay, I don't think that. But Rudy Gobert's contract runs a year longer than Ben Simmons. He is seemingly already reviled in Minnesota. That trade is one of the worst trades in the history of the NBA already. Walker Kessler, the rookie that the Timberwolves gave up, is already a way more valuable player to have than Rudy Gobert. We are recording this on Wednesday morning. The Timberwolves lost their play-in game to the Lakers last night.
In overtime.
They will in overtime in a game where Cat had 5 fouls with 8 minutes left, and they could have used a guy like Rudy Gobert to play in that game, and he did not because he punched someone in the face during a game who was his teammate.
It was more like in the chest, let's be honest.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah. You're right. Which is hard. The guy's 7'3". How could you not? You should be able to connect to the face.
He overshot it. He was like, I got to punch so far down, and then, oops, too far down.
So I know this is an off-season thing. I'm just saying, we say that Ben Simmons is untradeable, but there will continue to be disgruntled big men, disgobared big men who, hey, we'll take your chemical waste and we'll give you our chemical waste. And so that's how I view that situation.
Next up, cheer boy, Julian Singer.
Wow, he has a hell of a signature at the end.
Yeah,
but
don't
it's one of those
don't
ones
even
that,
don't even touch it. Mike.
Yeah, because I'm about to.
Don't you dare. Says love the show. Question is less playoff related than it is future rotation related. FYI, I think we lose in 5 to Philly round 1. Okay, good. Set the table. My concern with Cam Thomas has always been that he can't get his offense in the normal flow of the offense. And unfortunately, that still seems to be his bugaboo. That said, he's just way too talented offensively to not be in the rotation next season. I think he gets traded this summer, in brackets. Assuming I am wrong and he is back next season, can Vaughn get out of his own way and find 20 minutes per game for Cam? It should be an edict for management to get this kid in the rotation. Scoring is a major need, and Cam has it oozing out of him. Unleash this kid. Okay, Mike, so some hot takes. So guys who's buying Cam stock in massive quantities, I don't know. This is a tricky one, because this goes back into the shininess of good offense, or of offense that on its face appears good. And this is and not to dredge up this whole thing, but talking about the Kyrie Irving imploding of the Mavs, it was interesting to see it from like a pretty mainstream, like it was like CBS, sports or something like this, had an article about like why is it that Kyrie, despite having great numbers on super efficient shooting, like it just doesn't materialize into winning basketball more often than not. And it doesn't really have a good conclusion because like it just is kind of it befuddles the mind, Mike. It's nobody can figure this out.
Befuddles the mind.
Cam Thomas is similar but less befuddling, right? It's like less efficient, more. It's just he has to operate as just the only lone operator, or else he just can't be integrated into the offense. There's like it's either 40 points or 0 points with him, and then it's a really interesting dynamic, I guess, to have as a player. How to integrate that in the offense is like. Is it a Jacques Vaughn problem to solve? Yeah, probably. But there's got to be two willing. Got to have two to tango. Like two willing participants in that. And I don't know where Cam Thomas. Like it's interesting that it seems like a flip switches in his head, and it's like it's Cam time, and and then from there on he's not doing anything but searching for his own shot. How do you get that in fits and starts? Or is it just a on or off switch that's a whole game? I don't know. It's a perplexing question, but it seems like without an answer to it, it's just not going to be Cam time. Like it just can't be.
I think they need to trade him this offseason.
Yeah.
It is obvious under multiple coaches, no one's ever want to give him playing time. Again, we talked about Jacques Vaughn, like feels pretty comfortable with saying, cool, you scored 40 points, but we didn't win the game. So how can you score points but actually win the game too?
Yeah.
You and I are the worst people in the world to ask in a positive sense for the future of Cam Thomas, because we've been, I think, like almost literally since his first summer league, we were like,
we've had this take.
This is both exciting but terrifying because there's nothing, like it's just not going to work. It's not going to work in because what he does is so solo, mercenary, assassin.
Yeah,
that it's
whoever doesn't win the Wembanyama sweepstakes should be like super duper looking for a Cam Thomas stint, because that's the fit for you.
And it would be great because there's something there. There'll always be something there. I do still see more, like, what's more of a headline? Cam Thomas wins Sixth Man of the Year, or that he's scoring 50 points in China in 3 years, right? Like, I want all the best things for Cam Thomas. I just think it's in his makeup. The way he plays is tough to fit within a team, because if you're his teammate, you assume that when he touches the ball that he's just going to shoot it. And then you're not a productive person because you're playing against or with that guy. We have anything else? We have one more.
Let's just do one more. It's a little bit of an off-season one, but it's from Sure Boy Caleb. Caleb. It's from Caleb. This is Measley, I want to say. I couldn't add the same. There's a K and an N, and I couldn't figure it out. He says, "Hello, Mike and Brian. Do you guys? I hope you guys both had a good Easter. Mike, did you have a good Easter?"
I had a fantastic Easter.
Weird side.
A hell of an Easter.
Me and my dad stayed up, had a couple bevies, and watched The Last Temptation of Christ the night before Easter. Stayed up late and watched Martin Scorsese's 1988 fever dream of a retelling of the Gospels. So that was weird.
Is that good?
It's not good. It's worth doing, I would say. In that I had a great time in that particular environment. But it's not. It's basically like it's somewhat incomprehensible. So it's pretty weird. But more on that later. That's for the VIP show. It says, I've been hearing a lot of rumors of people like Trae Young and Dame Dolla asking for a trade this offseason. Do you guys think this would even benefit the Nets in trading for a star like this? The Nets obviously have the parts needed to trade for a star. Would you guys want to make the trade for either of these guys, or do we go for more draft prospects and other young guys to surround McCall and Clax? Go Nets. So, Mike, this is a little bit, we tried to make this a playoffs-centric podcast. I could feel that. We didn't talk about that in the pre-production meeting, but that was just a known thing going into this. However, wanted to splash in a little bit of off-season riffraff. Why do the Nets trade for Trae Young or Dame Dolla or not?
So Dame is not coming to Brooklyn.
Yeah.
Okay.
And,
Uh,
yeah.
because the next move that he makes is going to be to a team aligned with like a LeBron type, where it's obvious and clear that they are championship contenders. Trey is the grunty of all disgruntled. It seems that no one is happy playing with Trey Young, though he is such an electric. I mean, they beat the Heat. A couple of guys to keep an eye on. Obviously, Luka. We've talked about Luka. Karl Anthony Towns. We talked about Rudy Gobert, but if they get knocked out of the playoffs, how much longer can Cat really just continue to want to be there? But I put him in the Trey Young class where no one like hates Cat but he's not a leader of men.
Yeah.
So that's where people kind of disregard. I think also if you're him, I would think he's more likely to go to the Knicks than the Nets.
Yeah.
The Knicks are in a better place right
You're
now.
getting into the details, though, of each individual player. Let's talk grand strategy from the Nets. Are we in a place right now where we actually want to be onboarding star energy? Or are we protecting the vibe for the foreseeable future?
I think you protect the vibe for this upcoming season. You do the whole thing of like, you're going to re-sign Cam Johnson for $20 million a year. You make some move where you move Joe Harris or Royce O'Neal, you package them up. Maybe you have the 2 first-round picks that are back-to-back. Maybe you combine one of those picks with Joe or Royce for a future first-round pick or a player, something a little bit better and clear up some cap space that way. And you make yourself very flexible. And part of this thing is you have to see what Ben Simmons is, unfortunately. Mm-hmm. You just have to, you're not banking on him. You're not doing everything that we've talked about before, but you have to just see like, okay, is this completely dead with him or is there glimmers of hope? Mm-hmm. And you put a pause button on star hunting, unless if it is literally Karl Anthony Towns saying, I want to play in Brooklyn. And then you say, all right, well, let's see how we can make that work. Yeah. I would rather put a pause on it. Here's the big advantage the Nets have. And I don't want to talk about Ben Simmons, but I haven't looked this up officially yet, but I would say Bridges is playing the best of any player that is not on a max contract or a rookie contract. Mm-hmm. Now, I think Jaylen Brown is technically not a max contract, so maybe I have to disregard that. But like he is one of the few players who's not on a max deal or a rookie deal who is playing as well as he is.
Yeah.
The advantage of that is that the Nets have such a discount on a guy playing at that level that if Ben Simmons comes back and does something and you can trade him or whatever, they will have a lot of flexibility because of Bridges' contract. A lot of flexibility. So that's hey. Yes. But no star hunting.
Yeah. I think also we have to build some equity back into the culture stuff. I think like management feels like they've survived a pretty hectic era, and I think for their own sake they to apply the same kind of stressors of the expectations of onboarding stars feels slightly premature and might be counterintuitive for them professionally. Does that make sense?
And to talk ranking the priorities, you want to set yourself up for the Luka sweepstakes. He is going to be the biggest. If he comes onto the market next year as wanting to get traded, he is the most significant player to ever get traded, ever. More significant than what KD just got traded for. KD is one of the greatest players to ever get traded mid-season. Luka, I mean, I guess you'd say like Wilt was traded and Kareem.
Okay.
I think Kareem left as a free agent. No, maybe Kareem was traded. But like modern NBA, LeBron was never traded. MJ was never traded. Jokic wasn't. Embiid wasn't. Like Luka is it, right? And so the Nets should bump up Igor's salary as much as they need to maintain that connection. Keep Igor in the house. Give him a new title. Give him a penthouse.
Yeah.
In Joe Tsai has a penthouse in that new skyscraper on Central Park South. That's like the skinniest skyscraper in the world.
Okay.
Just give Igor that penthouse.
Yeah.
There's no CBA restriction against that, frankly.
Okay.
Do that. And we know that one of Luka's favorite people in the world is Dorian Finney-Smith. Keep Dorian Finney-Smith happy. And you just hold your chips for the Luka thing. Don't go for Trae Young.
Yeah, no,
because Trae Young ain't Luka.
No, true.
So Luka 2025, Brooklyn.
Yeah, keep your eye on the prize. Build that culture equity so that it makes it a nice, comfy landing place.
Where's that Slovenian enclave?
That's in Queens, baby. Like all the enclaves, like all the ethnic enclaves. Let's get there.
And then we could have an enclave night.
Yeah. Mike, I think we did it. I think that's we left a couple.
Wait,
out there.
what's your prediction?
I'm going. If I want to be super duper like betting man, I do think it's the gentleman's sweep. I think we steal one game, and I think it'd be like game 3 that we steal potentially. Although actually maybe it's game 1 because usually it feels like it's like you can sneak one in early before everyone super understands what the play is. Either way, I think it's going to be a 5-game series. Mike, I hate to say it.
My prediction will come in my pod with Alex Schiffer on Friday, so everyone wait for that.
What the hell? Alrighty, well, we'll wait with bated breath. Mike, get us out of here. Where can they find us?
Find us on Twitter at BKGlueGuys, netsdaily.com. The Athletic, get yourself behind that paywall at theathletic.com/glueguys, a subsidiary of the New York Times.
Discord.gg/glueguys also, and we'll be streaming the game on Saturday. So, if you're not in the Discord, you don't know what that means, but you gotta do the one thing to find out the next. Anyways, we're out of here. Thanks, everybody. Say bye, Mike.
Bye.